In the heart of the rugged American West, where the sun scorches the earth and secrets hide in the shadows of ancient canyons, a single decision can unravel a life, or rebuild it from the dust. Imagine stepping into a world of untamed frontiers, where cowboys aren't just legends but living enigmas, and one woman's gamble on a fresh start ignites a firestorm of deception, passion, and revelation. If you're hooked on tales that twist like a lasso in the wind, smash that subscribe button right now. Join our community of thrill seekers from the USA to the UK, where every story drops like a bombshell, and hit the bell to never miss a beat. Your next obsession starts here. Subscribe today and saddle up for the ride. Emma Harlow had always dreamed of escaping the suffocating grip of city life, the endless grind of waitressing in a dingy New York diner where tips were as scarce as genuine smiles. So when she saw the ad online for a cook position on a remote Montana ranch, she jumped at it without a second thought. Packing her battered suitcase with faded jeans, a few cherished recipes from her late grandmother, and a heart heavy with the ghosts of a failed marriage that had left her bankrupt and broken at 35. The bus ride from Billings was a blur of endless prairies dotted with grazing cattle, the kind of landscape that swallowed ambitions whole, and as the dusty road led her to the sprawling Ironwood Ranch, she felt a flicker of hope amid the isolation, the main house a weathered log cabin flanked by barns and corrals where horses snorted in the crisp morning air. She was greeted by a grizzled foreman named Hank, his face etched like old leather from years under the relentless sun, who grunted a welcome and showed her to the kitchen, a rustic space with a massive wood-burning stove and shelves stocked with basics like flour, beans, and canned goods, warning her that the crew of 10 cowboys was a rowdy bunch who expected hearty meals 3 times a day. No frills, just fuel for the hard labor of herding cattle across thousands of acres. Emma nodded, tying on her apron, determined to prove herself, her hands steady as she whipped up her first batch of biscuits and gravy, the aroma drawing the men in like moths to a flame, their boots clomping on the wooden floor as they filed in, hats in hand, a mix of young bucks with cocky grins and older hands with stories in their eyes. Among them was a quiet one, tall and broad-shouldered with piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through her. His name was Jake Riley, or so he introduced himself with a soft drawl, his clothes as worn as the others, no hint of anything special as he complimented her cooking with a simple, "Ma'am, that's the best damn grub I've had in years," making her cheeks flush under the praise. Days turned into weeks, the routine settling like dust on her soul, rising before dawn to brew coffee strong enough to wake the dead, chopping vegetables while listening to the cowboys banter about rodeos past and storms brewing on the horizon, and in the evenings, after serving chili or steak, she'd sit on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and purple, feeling a strange sense of belonging she hadn't known since childhood. Jake was always there, lingering a bit longer than the others, helping her clear plates or sharing quiet conversations about the stars, his voice low and reassuring, revealing bits of his past. A boyhood on ranches, a love for the land that ran deep in his veins, but never boasting, always humble, making her wonder why a man like him hadn't settled down. Little did she know, the ranch wasn't just his workplace, it was his empire, inherited from a father who'd built it from nothing, but Jake preferred to blend in, testing the loyalty of his crew by posing as one of them, a secret he'd kept for years to weed out the lazy and the dishonest. Emma's skills in the kitchen quickly won over the men, her apple pies becoming legendary, but tension simmered beneath the surface. The ranch was facing threats from a neighboring developer, a slick businessman named Victor Slade who wanted to buy up the land for a luxury resort, sending surveyors who trespassed and stirred up the cattle, leading to heated arguments around the dinner table where Hank railed against those city vultures. One stormy night, as thunder cracked like gunfire, Emma overheard Jake on the phone in the barn, his voice uncharacteristically sharp, demanding legal papers and muttering about protecting what's mine, but she dismissed it as cowboy talk, focusing instead on the growing spark between them, stolen glances turning into late-night walks where he'd teach her to rope a calf or point out constellations, his hand brushing hers sending electric jolts through her body. The first twist came during a cattle drive, miles from the ranch house, when a flash flood hit, the river swelling like a beast awakened, sweeping away supplies and stranding the group. Emma, terrified but resolute, helped tend to an injured horse, her quick thinking with a makeshift bandage earning Jake's admiration, and in the chaos, he confessed a partial truth, that he'd lost his wife years ago in a similar accident, the pain still raw, making her open up about her own scars, their bond deepening under the pouring rain. Back at the ranch, whispers grew. One cowboy, a jealous type named Buck, eyed Jake suspiciously, hinting to Emma that, not everything's as it seems with that one, but she laughed it off, too enchanted by Jake's gentle strength. Then came the revelation that shattered her world. During a heated confrontation with Slade's men who showed up with buyout offers, Jake stepped forward, producing documents that proved he was the sole owner of Ironwood, not just a hired hand, his demeanor shifting from quiet cowboy to commanding tycoon as he declared, "This land's been in my family for generations, and I'll be damned if I let you carve it up." Emma felt betrayed, her trust crumbling like dry earth. Why had he lied? Had their moments been a game? Storming off to the kitchen, she packed her bags, tears mixing with flour dust, but Jake followed, explaining his reasons. The anonymity kept him grounded, allowed him to spot true friends, and with her, it had started as caution but turned real, his feelings genuine. Yet the twists weren't done. As she wavered, a letter arrived from her ex-husband, revealing he'd tracked her down, demanding money from a forgotten joint account, but worse, Buck was in on it, paid by Slade to sabotage the ranch from within, including tampering with the flood-prone bridge that nearly killed them all. In a climactic showdown under a full moon, Emma confronted Buck, her kitchen knife in hand not for cooking but defense, while Jake rallied the loyal cowboys to chase off Slade's thugs, gunfire echoing in the night as loyalties were tested. Emma, proving her mettle, uncovered Buck's hidden ledger of bribes, turning the tide, and in the aftermath, as the sheriff hauled away the traitors, Jake knelt before her, not as owner but as a man stripped bare, proposing with his grandmother's ring, whispering, "You cooked your way into my heart, but it's yours if you'll stay." She hesitated, the land's secrets now hers too, but love won out, twisting her path from fugitive dreamer to ranch matriarch, the cowboys toasting their union with her famous stew, the ranch thriving under joint stewardship, though whispers of Slade's revenge lingered like smoke on the wind, promising more storms ahead. Years later, their children would hear the tale of how a city girl tamed the West, not knowing the full twists, the hidden gold vein Jake had discovered, making them millionaires overnight, or the undercover FBI agent among the crew who exposed a larger land grab scheme. But for Emma, it was enough to know that sometimes, the greatest ownership wasn't of land, but of hearts forged in fire.